Hello friends, we're going to talk about siding and how to install it when you've done continuous exterior insulation and a rain screen. We're going to walk you through some tips for installing and how to achieve nice clean details through layout and things like a story pole. Let's get into it. Some of you may be wondering how we're going to install siding on this whole house remodel behind me, because we're doing some non-typical details with outsulation and a rain screen and some window bucks, and we're going to walk you through how we're going to overcome some of those challenges. I thought it would be best to start with a little refresher, namely, we have our 2x4 wall, we have our OSB sheathing, and then we have our WRB, and then we have a foam, and then we have a rain screen. Our windows are set at the original sheathing layer, and so then we have window bucks. So this is just a little mock-up we did. If you checked out our Outsulation video, then maybe you're familiar with this, but if not, these are not sort of typical building details, although they may be coming very soon with modern code changes. And this is sort of the direction that code is heading into, continuous insulation. So these are some details that if you're in the trade, you should be paying attention to. Yeah, but I'll show you how we're installing it on the building here. Again, here's our window buck. Here's our window that's set at the original wall assembly. The insulation or outsulation and the rain screen. What does the rain screen do? That allows hot air to move upwards, cool air to drop, and moisture, if it should get behind our siding layers, it's got lots of space to get out of there. You can see we have a belly band set, or sometimes it's called a water table. Typically a water table has a slope on it, but we're using LP. They don't make a sloped sill detail. So we've started by basically setting our tops, our corners, our bottoms, and our belly bands. Let me take you around the corner and show you what that looks like. Here you can see one of our outside corners. That allows us, of course, to butt our lap siding into it. And that corner runs up all the way to the second story. And then we have a belly band that is also doubling as our casing. So we took some time to think about all of these details and how they were going to come together in order to get the sort of cleanest look. I'm gonna grab a window mock-up because it'll help illustrate a point here. So we actually did a fair amount of mock-ups for this, including pre-assembling some casing for these windows. So this is what basically will go on this window here, right? And you can see we've got our extension jambs mocked up, and that allowed us to figure out where is our casing going to land in relationship to our corners, and then in relationship again to our belly band, right? So one of the best things you can do as a carpenter is to take some time before you just start slapping materials up and think through, how are all these details going to come together? What are my corners going to look like? What is my casing going to look like? So let me show you something here. Had we not done layout, we very well could have ended up with a belly band here and then also another piece of casing below it. And that would have, in my mind, looked just silly. Why do we have a belly band there? Because we have a lap siding on the bottom, and then we have a board and batten that's going up top. Those two layers need something to delineate between the different thicknesses of them, right? A lap siding runs horizontally, and then a board and batten runs vertically. So there needs to be a transition point. Also, by code, you need to have breaks and flashing in continuous siding. I think it's every 8 feet. No, it's anything over 10 feet. Probably depends on where you are in the country too. It might be a little different. Doing that mock-up, that practice of thinking through how all these things are going to come together, is so vital and so crucial. You can see that just a few courses are in right now, but once we get rolling here, it'll go in really fast and easy, and there won't be a lot of questions about, hey, how are we doing this detail while we're all here focused on siding? because we've already done a mock-up. We've thought about how these little details are going to come together. So one of the important things about layout is getting your coursing even, right? You want your coursing to have the same overlap at the bottom and at the top. And one of the ways that the best ways, and really the historic way to do that, is to do what's called a story pole. And Keith here is the one that laid that out, so he's going to walk you through a little bit of the math and how we're making use of this tool here.
So I've started with just making a story pole, and how I got to what our reveals are is I measured our distance from our belly band down here up to up there and got that number. I measured how tall our siding is and what our reveal margins could be.
Yeah.
And then I just started dividing. Let's say it's 80 inches, and these are, so I'm like, it can be 7 to 8 inches. Oh, let's start doing math and see where it ends up. Obviously, nothing's ever that round and easy. Well, very rarely.
Yeah.
And so these are 6 3/16. That,
of course. Of course.
The siding is 7 3/4, so that gives us enough overlap. But yeah, so I just divided the total distance by what the reveals could be.
Reveal, yeah.
And just like in middle school, got the calculator out and go, well, it needs to be a 16th higher, or maybe it's this. Wait, what's 1/16? Oh, it's point. So it's a lot of checking numbers and common denominators to come to, so it works out so you have even numbers, and we don't have just a little strip up on top.
Yeah. It's really important that coursing, if your goal is to have it be uniform, that you take the time to do the story pole. And just like how we've taken the time to do mock-ups, figure out what our extension jambs are going to look like, how our casing's going to land with our belly board, the story pole is an integral way of making sure that the coursing is not only even from top to bottom, but as you work your way around the building, this allows us to kind of set a benchmark and remeasure and confirm that, hey, we're headed in the right direction before you have 8 courses up and you're like, you look at the corner and you go, that side's a little different from that side, right? It allows you to avoid that and be efficient and do it in a space that just takes a little bit of time and a little bit of math. So,
I mean, now we can go around the whole house, put this on our water table at the bottom, and our spacing's the same on each side. Everything works out, and everything's even.
Yeah.
So if you're standing far away and you look at from an angle, everything lines up.
Yeah.
There was a plan.
Yeah, exactly. It leads to that sort of, hey, someone took the time to think through these details rather than these guys just slapped up some siding, right? It's that sort of intentionality that leads to a better finish and ultimately a product that will stand the test of time. Hop in the comments. Let us know if you've worked with a story pole. I'd love to hear more about it, how you're using it. All right, I wanted to talk to you a minute about what we're using for siding. We're using a product called LP, or Smart Side, which is effectively an OSB that has a special wax coating, and then it's got a factory finish on it that's rated for 30 years. I hope so. That sounds great, 30 years. Most standard paints last about 10 and they need to do maintenance. We're hoping to get a little more than that out of this. The manufacturer recommends that you leave a 3/16 spacing, and oftentimes when you see this installed, whether they're painting it or not, they will butt it in tight and then put the gap where the 2 pieces meet on a seam, but they'll caulk this joint. Because of our assembly being a rain screen, if moisture gets behind this siding, it's not a big deal. We've already allowed a space for that to dry away, right? And that does a couple of things. One, it means that we don't have to caulk all of these joints because that can get messy, and that's another thing that has to be maintained. A caulking joint will last 10, maybe 20 years, best case scenario if you're using a premium product. And then it has to be scraped, peeled, and painted and redone. By doing what we've done here, not only do we not have that maintenance, but we've also allowed a spot for, we're not relying on that as our bulk water management, right? If water gets behind it, it can drain, it can dry. One of the other advantages of that is that the durability and the longevity of the siding will be longer. Because if it does get wet, it's not going to stay wet. It has that opportunity to dry. Big fan of this stuff. You'll have to see some of the progress as we move along here and see it with the board and batten on it. Also, they have a really good selection of colors too, so check out LP. Okay, so one of the other things about layout and templating and thinking through the details is these outlet boxes, right? So we've gone around the house and installed these at all the locations that have a penetration. So whether it's an outlet or if it's a vent, right? Like you can see up here, that's for the kitchen vent hood, right? Or down here for where we have internet coming in or water. All of those get a block, which allows us to keep that siding nice and clean and neat. And it also, you know, it makes us more efficient, right? We're doing that task all at once ahead of time as much as we can, other than obviously the stuff that's up too high to reach. The more observant among you may have noticed that our belly band up at this course looks a little different than the others, and that's because it's a future ledger. We installed that now as opposed to relying on someone doing it in the future because of our exterior insulation, achieving that detail needed to be done with some care. So hopefully you can see here there's a piece of 2x green treated sitting behind this, right? And then we have our ledger running here, okay? And this is what our engineer approved. So we've insulated fully behind our ledger, and then we have blocks every 16 inches that tie back into the structure. And that means that when they decide, hey, we're ready to put the patio back here, and we're gonna do a pergola, and we're gonna tie it into the house, all they have to do is install some hangers on that thing and go, and they don't have to wonder, hey, is this structurally where it needs to be, or is it strong enough? They don't have to start making penetrations in the house. We've worked really hard on this project to think through all of the little openings like the outlets and the HVAC penetrations, and even the internet. We didn't let the internet guy just decide where he was gonna punch a hole in the house. We've worked really hard to make this thing airtight, so we didn't wanna leave those up to guess or question. This is just a simple value add that you can do. Yeah, it took a little bit more time and thought than if we had just done a belly band, but it means that we know what that's going to look like and how that's going to perform throughout the life of the home, right? We didn't leave it up to the next person who might install the pergola, you know? All right, friends, thanks for spending some time with us here today. We really appreciate it. I'd love to know if any of these tips are new to you, or maybe they're things you've used. Maybe you've used a story pole before in kind of a unique way. Go ahead, drop in the comments, let us know how you're making use of those things. There's stuff that I can learn from you as well. I'd love to hear about how you're using this stuff. So yeah, looking forward to hearing from you. Thanks again for spending some time with us.